So a dilemma that a lot of second generation bilinguals face is that on one hand, their parents, who in many cases have experienced discrimination linguistically, racially, otherwise,
Yeah.
their parents are very worried that they too are going to face discrimination. And so the parents are very concerned with assimilation in many cases, both linguistically and culturally. And when the parents are really concerned about that, that tends to mean more English, which tends to take a pattern that already exists where they're going to become more comfortable with English, and it makes it even it makes the discrepancy between English and Spanish even more.
Yeah.
And I get where the parents are coming from. It makes sense. But what ends up happening in many cases is that the second generation speakers become much more comfortable with English. They struggle with their Spanish. In many cases, they become so-called no sabo kids, as they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
And then the real tragedy there is that when Spanish is no longer a tool that the second generation speakers can use, they lose a lot of the connection with family. If they're
Yeah.
traveling back to the family's country
Yeah.
of origin, they're made
Yeah.
fun of. They're made
Mhm.
fun of in the US.
Yeah.
Their identity is called into question. You're not a real Latino. You're not a real
Yeah.
Latina.
Yeah.
That type of comment is unfortunately very common.
Yeah.
And on top of it all, and I know this is already depressing enough, but on top of all of that, the trade-off that the parents were hoping for of if Fulano learns more English and is really solid in English, then they're not going to be discriminated, doesn't work out either. So they
Yeah.
still face especially if they're a racialized speaker, we would say, then they're still going to face that discrimination. And then when they lose their Spanish, they lose that connection to the family as well.